uh, it- hang on, let me push this button. Never take it lightly to share. Always an honor, and certainly thank you, Glenn, for asking me to come on and share. Uh, if you'd have shared with me 8 years ago that this is what I would be doing in a parking lot in a town I don't even know I'm in. I'm actually on my way home back to Florida, and pulled over to share with it. So if you see the background, I'm actually in my vehicle traveling back. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right or whatever. But yeah, just excited. Going to give you guys a little bit of my background. Like Glenn said, my name is Steve Burkholder. We live in Ocala, Florida. Not always lived there. We actually was originally from northern Indiana. Had a farm there for a lot of years. Contract raised dairy cattle. Also had a concrete construction business. Had upwards of 50 guys working for me for a lot of them years. Poured concrete in the mega dairies and the coal mines. Had guys anywhere from 150 feet in the air to 600 feet underground, several miles back in. Very high stressful job. And my wife's a dental hygienist. My wife Kim is a dental hygienist. We have 4 children, 4 grandchildren, and she was also a certified family herbalist. Now, as a disclaimer, she will tell you for many of them years I was her worst patient. So that's just where I was at. I didn't think I needed them things. And it's just where I was at in life. But we was living the American dream. We was time broke. We was financially strapped, and I turned 40 years old. And I looked at my wife, and we could go do what we wanted to or whatever, but it came at a huge cost, and that was time freedom. And I'm 52 now, but about 12 years ago, I looked at my wife and I said, enough's enough. I'm not going to go do this anymore or whatever. Started phasing down, but we really didn't have a plan of what that next part of life was going to look like. So fast forward to 2018, we actually went to pick up a ringer washer at a friend's or somebody that had sat in her chair, and didn't want to go. I thought my wife could pick it up on her way home from work. But she convinced me that I needed to go with her. Make a long story short, I ended up meeting her there. We had supper with these folks, and they showed network marketing to us for the first time in our lives. And that was about 7 years ago. And I'll be honest with you, I was not open to the industry. I thought them things don't work. And I certainly wasn't going to, after some of the negative things I've said over the years about something I didn't know, I certainly was not going to do network marketing. But you know what? As a person of faith, sometimes God has bigger plans for you. And it certainly happened that night. They shared a concept with us, and we seen something that night that we hadn't seen in years, and that was time freedom. We was time broke. We made extremely good a living, but we wanted our time back. And we kind of did that there. We worked that first business, just like we did everything in life, or everything I've always done in life, I guess you could say, wide open and the pedal to the metal. Because we had a vision, and I wanted to be able to spend time and do the things with my family that others couldn't. And I say this very humbly. In 2.5 years, we become 100% debt free. We sold the farm, bought a winter home in Florida, paid cash for it, and kind of semi-retired in our late 40s. That's just where we was at. Um, but it was through that process, COVID kind of took that business out, and it kind of transitioned with another business, or another marketing business, and went to their first conference. I'll never forget it. Come home from that first conference, and my wife, we walked through her kitchen door, and she just burst into tears, and she goes, Steve, this is not going to work. This doesn't align with who we are. And it was hard. We had to make a decision. We had a lot of teammates, but you know what? As a person of faith, if something's not right, it's not right. And what part of it? What part of it are we chasing? And if you're doing it for the right reason. So we made a very difficult decision and walked away from a very lucrative 6-figure yearly income. Wasn't easy. Didn't know what the future looked like. Hadn't really no game plan. We just knew we couldn't keep going the way we was. So took a step back for a year and a half. And I always share with people, to date, was the toughest year and a half of my life, probably. It was so empty, but doing personal growth and stuff like that, just kept pushing forward. My wife would ask me, have you thought of anything? And I just finally told her, I said, if the good Lord, if it's fit, he will bring us something. So I had gotten COVID really bad in 21. Never really been sick a day in my life. Got put in the hospital, was on several liters of oxygen within a day that I was in there. Forced myself to leave 3 days later. But I realized at that point in time that I was going to take my health a lot more serious. And I realized that there was a lot of other people that was in the same boat. So certainly we was looking for something. We certainly was looking into the health and wellness industry. And I always share with people that brazenly found us, we didn't find them. It was through an acquaintance at the time. We're obviously dear friends now. Most of you guys know him. But Todd Smith reached out to me via a message, and he said, "Hey, I think I lost your phone number. Can you give me your phone number?" And so I messaged him back a day or so later, and he called me, and he was very direct to the point. He said, "Hey," he goes, "I've been kind of following along with you guys a little bit." He goes, "I think you should take a look. I think I've got what you're looking for." Now, he didn't know me that well. I didn't know him really, other than he was in our old company and he was a sideline, but I knew one thing: he was a tremendous leader. And him and his wife Robin had hearts as big as Texas. And I knew, I knew that part of him, and that's all I knew of him. But we took a look at Bravenly. I was in Ohio at the time. My wife was in Florida. And we got off that Zoom and we got on the phone together with each other. She understood the products right away. I'm not, as a disclaimer, I didn't know them that well, but she immediately seen that side of it. And she said, "Steve, this will work for our people." And of course, I dug into the compensation plan. I'm obviously multiple business owner over the years. Had really one of them things I'd done in that time frame is I really started digging into marketing plans, and so I could understand them. So all that looked good, but there was one problem: we didn't know the owners. And I knew if I was going to go back and do this one more time, that they had to align with who we was. I had to know them. And I called Todd and I said, if I'm going to throw my heart and soul into this, I got to know who the owners are. I got to know that they align with who we are. I got to know what their mission is. And we got on a Zoom call with them, and I asked some really tough questions for about an hour and a half. And when I got off that Zoom, I looked at my wife and I said, this is going to be big. And I really felt it. That was in October of 23. Started using the products, launched our business in December of 23. And, you know, what do? You go back to you go back to what you know, and that show your friends. But unfortunately, a lot of our old business partners was not interested in what we was doing, and that was okay. We felt like we contacted our leaders, let them know that we was gonna do what we was gonna do, and to date, really and truly, we only have one couple that's in our business today that was in our old business, and that's been tough at times. But you know what? When you lay it at the feet of Jesus, you just go out and you share what we have, and the rest will fall into place. So we launched in December of 23, and never dreamed that it would grow to where it has today. We feel very blessed. We we travel a lot, and I'm just going to share that part of our journey a little bit, and maybe you guys can pick up some nuggets along the way. But what we do is a journey, and we know that. But sometimes the impatient side of me takes over. But God has a wonderful way of keeping that in perspective. So we joined the first month. We went executive director, and so we was really pumped about that. Was senior executive director by March or February of that year, or of January of 24. But then, you know what? We went through what we call a growing phase, and it wasn't until the fall. It wasn't until the fall of November of 2024 that we went VP, and then obviously on up from there. But we had to, we learned a lot along the way, and sharing what we had on that side of it, trying different things. I know I heard you guys talk a little bit, on three-way calls and introducing people or whatever on that side of it. But I think, if I could share anything, I think when we made the decision to simplify what we do, and keep it simple and duplicatable, it's not how many people you bring into Bravenly, it's how many you can get started. I share this very humbly, y'all, because we have tremendous leadership or whatever, and we, obviously we teach this with our team on down and stuff like that. But in driving depth, it's not how many it's how many, how many they know or whatever. And we started, we started just trying different things. But the biggest thing I figured out is relationships, is sitting down in front of someone and letting them know, letting them know what you have, and without being a salesman side of it or whatever. And I realized that we didn't have to be product geniuses. We didn't have to know everything about the products. I mean, yes, they will find it out eventually, but what I had to know is a testimony or two about every product. And when we switched that and started sharing testimonies with the products instead of the product ingredients down to a T, everything changed. And why you can help a new person get started because you have the Bravely Breakthrough page. We do a product call and people share testimonies. And we started, you borrowing someone else's testimony. And so, people made little cheat notes when they shared Bravenly. And so that's kind of how that's kind of what started really working for us, because the testimonies is really what changed everybody's business. When I go through Bravenly, when we go through Bravenly, we tell them, we share the Brew Extreme. It's an organic, it's a, it has organic mushrooms. Obviously create something called nootropics. But I have a friend of mine, I shared my personal COVID story on the balance. It's sharing stories, sharing a testimony with each one of the products. See, they won't remember that the balance is a 10-in-1 blend. They won't remember that each blend what's in there, but they will remember long after the meeting what happened to Alan Linda Fry's boy, who had these sores on his elbows, his hips, his knees. And after taking Bravenly 1 month, they went away. After 3 months, they went to a pimple and ended up becoming a scab. And today, all you see is little dimples in his elbow. See, they're going to remember that. Okay. And that has to do with gut issues and stuff. And then income, changing our verbiage from income that, I think we could all agree that, that everybody could use a, $400 extra income a month or whatever. But when we sat in front of a new person and we started sharing, hey, I think we could all agree that we know people that an extra $400 a month would be huge, right? Who's going to argue with that? And what happens is it changes the mindset, and people start thinking, man, I know Katie down the road. I know Aunt Melinda. I know she could use an extra. And so it opens up that dreamer. And what we realized is they're building a names list for you, because in their mind, they're thinking of 5 to 6 people that we can share Bravenly with. See what I'm saying? And then ultimately at the end, if they decide to join, great. But also, understanding the fact of that some people are going to become a customer before they become a brand partner, right? And it was just listening to people where they was at. If they wasn't going to share it right away, bring them in as a customer, kind of thing, and then let them become a brand partner. I share something with you guys, and I share this very humbly, but I remember early on, I called a couple. They was in our old business. I didn't know them that well. But they was friends, and we taught different stuff, different times here and there. There was a young couple. They was from Wisconsin, and they was one of the first couples that we shared Bravenly with, and they wasn't ready to build, and they just wanted to be a VIP customer. And of course, obviously, as you're building a marketing business, obviously you're looking for brand partners. But I didn't push that issue. I did what our leaders told us. So they come in as a VIP customer, and was a VIP customer for us for 13 months. But the end of February, they come on vacation in Florida, and I got back in person in front of them. And I shared the opportunity the second time, just as there. They end up joining the end of February and went VP in the month of April. So I share that to say, what would have happened if I would have shoved them into the business a year before they was ready? You know what I'm saying? And, it's listening to people or whatever. And then, we do a lot of, as some of you may know, and some of you may not, we do a lot of, in homes, and, not saying that you have to build that way, but that's how we build it. It's home to home, and we never get out of people's hot market. And that's how we build depth. We're looking to go A to J with all our new people. When somebody says, I'm ready to build, we're going to be in their home, and we're going to lay out a game plan, and we're going to show their hot market. And then when we go show their hot market, when someone joins, I'm going to look right at that couple, and I'm going to say, hey, if they're going to build, I'm going to say, who do you know? Who can we go show tomorrow night or the next night? Because we're protecting them from themselves. Okay. And they'll say, well, my aunt, she's definitely going to take a look or whatever. And we're going to go show that person. And so we're constantly looking to drive A to J. Why is that for? Is because if they join and they do a package, you guys obviously know how our business works. They're going to get, they get a 25% E1 bonus. Okay. What's key about that? We think in our mind that you have to get someone $3,000 a month to make a difference. No, it's belief. If you get that new person a $250 check his first month, you have planted a seed that is real. Okay. But what we do is we keep driving that down through there. We in 1 month, if we launch a new person, we try to get 6 levels deep in that first month. That is A hosting B, hosting C, hosting D, hosting E. Okay. Ultimately, in the end, in 2 months, we want to be A to J. And what does that mean? That's, A hosting B, B hosting C. That's not people hosting or putting anybody down through there. Because what happens is now you have a whole list of people that you're working with. And that's when they'll start having real questions with you. Hey, share me a little bit more what this comp plan works. I got a $300 check. Why did I get this $300 check? Most of them don't even know why they got it for. Okay. But it leads into that conversation. And when you do that, we did that in a leg of business. And I'm going to share this, and I share this humbly with you guys, but using that simple philosophy and making it duplicatable, that when you share this with someone in their home and you do it 3 times, that they can do what you do. We did that with a couple by the name of Joe and Naomi Laniger. You guys very well know who they are, right? Well, Joe and Naomi hosted Stephen and Melinda, who hosted Jerry and Marilyn, who hosted Elray and Marlene, who hosted Jonathan and Ida, who hosted Steve and Regina, who hosted Marcus and Ina, who hosted Wes and Karen, who hosted Eli and Miriam. Okay. Now this has all happened in the last year. Now, what do them couples all have in common? They're all VP and above. I'm going to share that again. They're all vice presidents and above. Okay. And it was as duplication. And I'm just sharing with you guys, how did it start out? It started out just with a couple getting into their hot market. Who do you know? And going to work with them and building relationships. I can tell you, I've spent time in every one of them couples' homes. I can tell you their tendencies and stuff like that. And it's nothing fancy. It's nothing like, oh, this is unbelievable. Yes, it is. But I will share this with you. It started with the first couple that we built a relationship that built, and you just keep going from there and just driving that depth and letting people know where you're at and willing to go to work with them. If for us, we know with Bravenly, the products work. Okay. That's a given. They're going to work, but your new person doesn't. So if they're apprehensive about coming into the business, you know what I mean? Or don't want to really build it, I'm going to sit down and we're going to get them products. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to reach out, touch base back with them. We pretty much all that we do is basically go from home to home. We do very little social media, and that's okay. There's a lot of people that do that, and it's great. We have people on our team that do that as well. But the bulk of ours, I still think that one of the missing elements, people still love real relationships. They still love to be able to share that time together, to take and know that we're doing this for a bigger cause. We host a Monday through Friday morning motivational call, a Monday through Friday morning motivational call that people can call in. The call started out with a half a dozen people. Last Friday, we broke our all-time record because our leaders pushing this, and we had 358 people on that call live on a Monday morning at 8:30. How did that happen? Duplication, keeping it simple, asking people to plug in, having real conversations with them, figuring out where they want to go in life. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, sharing with people that the products are great. The fact that you can earn an extra stream of income is great. But that you all, my friends, is not going to keep you in Bravenly. It's not until you understand that what you have your hands on, you can make a big, true difference in someone else's life. And that when that becomes your passion, and that's what you lead with, when you're looking for that next person that's on their knees praying for something to come along, and when you look at a brand new person that has had absolutely no has had no prior experience in this industry, you can help them win here. Okay, and you can help them win big by keeping it simple and letting them know that you care. And so, and that duplicates on down in your team. you know I travel a lot of miles. I'm very blessed. At 52, we're empty nesters. My wife is a juvenile probation officer, and she takes and so she has a tough job or whatever. She's getting ready to retire from her second job here in a couple months, and is going to go on the road with me some. But she has a huge job. She's dealing with a lot of juvenile youth because that's where her heart is at, and it's a tough job. I don't know how she does it mentally. She's way tougher than I am, but that's where her heart is at. Okay, and I'm not going to take that away from her. But she's going to step away from that a little bit on that side of it. But I share all that to say this. You know, we travel a lot of miles. Okay, and it is hectic. But sometimes you think to yourself, man, is this really worth it? And whenever them thoughts creep in my mind, I always say, is this about me or is it about them? Is this a business about you and what you want to accomplish, or is this business about what you can do for others? And I always go back to that. Sometimes, we feel like, maybe I'm not saying burned out, but sometimes, you get in them ruts. And I always sit there and think to myself, if I take time off, okay, who's gonna miss what we have? Number one. The second thing, y'all, bravenly after this morning's announcement, I'll promise you, people are going to find out about Bravenly Regardless if you share it with them or not. That's a given, you know. And so, that's a little bit of our journey along the way. We're obviously very excited. The personal growth side that our team has bought into. I would highly encourage, get with your teammates, get them to plug into. We're still old school. You can listen to great audios, and I think it's phenomenal. You can do a lot of them things like that, but I still think, and we're seeing it over and over. There's nothing like digging your nose into a book for 15 minutes a day. There's something about that time where your mind is totally concentrated on what you're doing. And those that have bought into that, it's making a huge difference. 15 minutes a day may not seem like a lot, but I often share this illustration with people, okay? Because, you know, the hard thing in what we do is trying to balance that time. How do you carve out an extra 10 hours? I mean, how do you carve that out? Because we already live very busy lives. Some people are raising families, some people have a lot going on. But think about this. The average person works 50 hours a week, right? If you're lucky. Okay. And now you're asking that person to add another 10 hours, take another 10 hours away from family, children, activities, or whatever it may be. Okay. And you're sitting there saying, how is that possible? I mean, I did this for time freedom, but look at it from a short term to long term perspective. Anyone that is willing to commit 10 hours a week to Bravenly, and that's your personal growth and everything, just 10 hours a week. I think we could all agree that's 520 hours a year for 1 year. That's in 2 years, that's 1,140 hours. But statistically, and it's proven in our team, we've shared this in front of couples that are in their late 20s, early 30s. All they do is Bravenly now, y'all. So all they do is their main source of income. And they took 10 hours a week and carved it and put their all into Bravenly. And here's what happened. Think about, at 50 hours a week, you do it for 30 years. Okay. Are you willing to sacrifice 1,100 hours to get the next 72,000 hours to spend with your family? That's the question we always ask. Who's willing to make that commitment to do that side of it? Because, 50 hours a week, you can do the math, 2,500 hours a year times 30, so again, something to think about or whatever, but we are super excited. Certainly super excited for what Bravenly brings to the table. Certainly excited about helping other people or whatever. So with that, Glenn, I'm going to turn it back to you. And it was sure a joy, and I appreciate sharing with each and every one of you guys.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you taking time to pull over on your drive home. Like, that's awesome. You did this for us, man. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And hopefully someday we can meet each and every one of you guys. Come up and say hey, and we'll do the same.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Does anybody have any questions? So, I mean, I look, when I built so last week we learned about building online, and then we learned this week you can build it offline, right? Like, you can build it however you want to build it, but I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier today at the gym, because they're in another network marketing company. And honestly, before COVID, like, we always did exactly what he did. Like, we'd do home parties, and I know that, life can be hectic, but then they would bring somebody who got excited, then we'd go to their house and do the same thing. And not knowing what, like, not being good on social media, not knowing what we're doing, like, we literally could run, like he said, 6 levels deep in like 2 seconds. I think now we're like overcomplicating things. And yeah, I mean, online is very convenient. It works around our schedules. Like, I get that. But I think if some of you want to get, myself included, uncomfortable, we can run through these ranks like as fast as humanly possible. But I think, like he said, don't give them time to get into their head. Like, sometimes people sign up and then they get in their head and then they bow out. Like, whether we do, why, like, if Sarah joins my business, if I don't live by her, I can do a why bravely for her to get her prospects on. It doesn't just have to be in their house. So I'd like to see a little bit more. In person would be like incredible. But if not, let's get your prospects on a why bravely, get their top people, and if they get somebody excited, then we're going to go to that second level or that third level and do a why bravely for just them and their prospects, and we can drive deep that way. Like, if you want to make long-term, crazy, insane income, we got to drive depth, just like he said. Sometimes we just work with our first level and that's all we work with. And we don't try to hurry up and like build depth. And honestly, the generational wealth that'll put you to vice president, like Steve, he's silver, but he has the volume of a platinum executive vice president. But guys, a year ago, he was only vice president. So he basically went from 40,000 in volume to 1 million in volume, like in just the blink of an eye, right? Like, so if y'all, like, he was, and like he even mentioned his struggles. He was stuck. He was in senior executive director prison. I know Renee can relate to me there, but with the blink of an eye, like, one person joins your team, and like the rest is history. So, does anybody have any comments or questions about what Steve has done, or does anybody want to add on to what he said? I know usually people don't talk, but it'd
Hey,
be nice.
I'm not busy right now. I can talk.
Okay, good.
Well, I've been subbing that started back now, so that's what I do during the school year. And then last summer I had started working at a Shell station, at night during the week to bring in extra income. Well, I'm still here because it's hard to walk away from it. But I'm gonna look at my finances when we get off this call, because to be honest, me and my husband are at a good place right now. We have a daughter starting college in a couple of weeks, right? Another daughter that's a senior. So what I'm trying to say is, we don't have little kids. We don't have a lot of stuff that's holding us back as far as that goes. And I'm gonna give my notice here as soon as I can, because see, I'm not gonna. Me and my husband could be going out during the week, when I'm at the Shell station, sharing with people, getting in their homes, and I can just feel Bravenly so much faster. So, I'm just going to have to take a step of faith and be like, look, if I could just cover my bills, right? Forget about the extra. I've got to put my full effort into Bravenly. And that can by far, surpass the extra income I'm trying to make here at the Shell station, right? So, anyway, that just really spoke to me about, you really got to, show people you really care about them and get in their homes and say, who can we go talk to? And that just fires me up. So I really appreciate him being on tonight. I really got a lot out of that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Paula. And just like you and Steve said, people need to see how much we care. Sometimes it's hard just doing, hey, I care about you on social media. Like we don't know if it's fake or if it's real, but man, if y'all have a friend that lives close to you, like meet them at the coffee shop. They can tell that you care, like in person. I think that's sometimes the missing ingredient is showing people how much we really care about them. And when I think about, and I've been to Sarah's house, I've been to Colleen's house, I've been to Deidre's house, I've been to Brittany Metcalf's and Kristen Gonzalez, but the people that I've been to their house and like built relationships with their family and like done events for them, they're on this call tonight. Like they see how much I care as a leader, and and that's what we want and that's what we need. So I mean, if you guys ever want to build, and look, again, like you said, if you don't have time, you have 7 kids, like, hey, we get it. Like we're not telling you that's the only way to build, but it does show people how much we care, and I think we can build a lot faster that way. Anybody else? Thanks, Brittany.
I just wanted to share this. I mean, obviously, Steve is amazing, and the duplication. So when he was saying, the ABC, so when he signs somebody up, then he's getting them to go into somebody else's home. Is he with them, or is he going with them?
Yeah, he's going. Yeah, he's going with them. So like, I know it can be kind of. Luckily, he's an empty nester, so it's probably easier for him. But like, if I went to your house, Sarah, and I did an event for you, and Susie Q comes and she's excited. Hey, Susie, in 3 days, I want you to get like, I know people that could use an extra $400 a month. You heard the testimony about the elbow and what the balance did for them. Let's get some people in the house, and then he goes and will do it for them. But he said after the third time, then you kind of like spread your wings and you can do your own. Right? Like, so I've done 2 for you, 2 for Colleen, 1 for Deidre. But after that, like, y'all be able to do your own. That new Bravenly book, honestly, if y'all have that new book the $9.99 book, y'all can literally do the whole thing just by reading that book and then sharing testimonies. Like, and that's another thing he said, I need to learn more testimonies about more of the products. Like, I do know too much about the products. I think instead I need to go to the breakthrough page and look up a life-changing story and like, hey, look at this story about the gold, and like show like a before and after picture of their feet or something. So I think that's something that we all could do, is like maybe we all could share what the products have done for us, and we should do that actually, and then write down, okay, so here's Sarah's results on the drift, or here's Rebecca's results on XYZ, and then we can basically, all we should be is professional storytellers. I think sometimes we just know I know too much about the products, and I probably overwhelm people. If I just shared somebody's story, I think that would go a long ways. Go ahead.
There's a patient that's been coming into work, and she has tried some of the products, and she's older. Maybe she's early 60s. Anyway, I reached out to her last week. She's mentioned that finances were an issue. But then she's like, no, I really want to do this. Well, she came in today, and of course, she's probably like, oh Lord, I hadn't messaged her back. But she's like, I just, wanted to let you know. Well, she ended up telling me that she had dealt with drugs back in her life, and since 2015, she's been sober. She went to rehab for a year. So she wanted me to understand why she couldn't afford anything. She lives with her best friend. Her check goes to her best friend because she lives there. The friend provides food. And so I was kind of just going to be like, well, she'll probably never sign up. But then I said, well, Melinda, why don't you, how much time do you work at your job? You should really, what if what I do could bless you so you're not paycheck to to paycheck. Like, this is something you can do. I mean, she's older, but she's also on social media. And, you know, you think somebody's going to say, no, that's not for me. But she was like, I actually would like to sit down with you and talk about that because, you know, what if that could change my life? So before she left, she's just like, let me know a time. So you just never know. You might be afraid to mention that to somebody because they might just be like, absolutely not. But you just never know what that could do for her.
Yeah, exactly. We just got to speak up. We just got to open our mouth and, you know, not prejudge people. I have an 82-year-old, an 82-year-old couple in my gym, and they've ordered every month for 3 years now. But I was like, man, I doubt this 82-year-old couple would like want to buy my products. And they order hundreds of dollars like every single month, and they love the products. So honestly, these products are good for everybody. The opportunity's great for everybody. Does anybody else have any tips that they want to add? And then I'll give some closing thoughts if anybody wants to say anything.
Yeah, 82-year-olds at the gym. I gotta go to the gym. I'll be back.
No, dude, my gym is loaded with them and they're so healthy. I mean, there's like 95-year-olds like working out at my gym. This one dude brings his wife that has Alzheimer's to the gym, and he like has to chase her around, but then once he finally gets her where she needs to be, he'll hurry up and do his abs, and then he'll run back over, check on her, then he'll go lift weights. Like, I mean, that's like dedication. So, okay, I don't want to take up too. I think that was very, very valuable. And Carly even today too, like on her call, talked about showing people how much we care, and I think we need to do a little bit more of that. But I think, like Steve said, doing it in person can definitely help. So showing people how much we care, and honestly, like he said, people overthink it. When you first sign somebody up, we could all agree that we all know someone that could use an extra $400 a month. I'm definitely going to start using that line a little bit more. Okay, so closing thoughts, y'all. So I posted the notes like in our team chat today about all of the things what the Inc. 5000 means. So I don't think we really understand like how important this is, the Inc. 5000. Posting about it's great, but if you want to amplify your business, I always say go live. So I'm just going to write down all those notes, and I know if some of you are on a different team and you need the notes, let me know. But give it a good title, like, hey, Bravenly is in the top 0.00036% of all companies in the United States. Like, give it a really good title. Don't just put daily thoughts. Like, some people they just call their live the weirdest thing, and if people don't know what you're going live about, like, nobody's going to stop. So give it an eye-popping title and like go live. And I think we all should, because I've had a lot of people that used to be on our team that have joined other companies or like quit the industry. They see us like so pumped up about Bravenly right now. A lot of people are messaging me wanting to come back and join our team again. So if we all get loud and proud, obviously about the gold, but about the Inc. 5000 and how Bravenly's multiplying, because let's face it, other companies aren't doing as good. You know, our company is doing phenomenal. Like, I don't know any other network marketing company in the top 5,000. We're number 6 and household, I think it's called household goods or something like that. Like, this is a really big deal. I would get loud and proud about that. The gold, message all of your customers. Like, I have a lot of customers that are gonna like, hey, have you ever had the gold before? Like, no, I don't know if I have. Here's what it is. Or I haven't taken it in a while, and then people are buying the pills. So make sure you reach out to all of your customers, all of your old brand partners that haven't ordered in a year. You can go type in keywords. Like, so what I did is I went and typed in keywords in Messenger. I typed in gold. You could type in the artificial sweeteners that are in there, because sometimes people are dropping off like flies. So I'm probably gonna get off in a second. I know y'all are ready to eat probably, but like, just type in keywords about the gold. Like, type in inflammation. Everybody you've ever talked to about inflammation will pop up. Type in gold. So some of you have put me in three-way chats in the past. I just typed in gold, and everybody I've ever had a three-way chat with about gold popped up, and I started messaging them about the gold. I know, Rebecca, I'm in a few of your three-way chats, and you're like, man, why did Glenn pop in? We haven't talked to this person in 8 months. It's because I just typed in gold, like in the keywords, like in Facebook Messenger. So let's blow this up. And those of you who want to go on the trip to Orange Beach, the EVP trip. Brittany Becca's doing an incentive. So it doesn't matter like if you haven't been crushing your business or not. If you get between the 700 and 2K club, make sure to go in there and comment. You have until Saturday to hit those clubs. You get 1 point for the 700 club, 2 points for the 1200 club, 3 points for the 2K club. If you get a new brand partner with a package, you get a point. If you get director and above, you get a point. So I would love to see some of you like hanging out with the top leaders in the company in Orange Beach in September. And I think we've been on here long enough. Does anybody have any questions? I didn't want it to. I want it to be all about Steve, but anybody have any questions? Everybody ready to go eat dinner? All right, y'all. Love y'all. I hope y'all take these notes and share it with your team. That was phenomenal training. Let's go out and crush it. Y'all have a great night. Bye, everybody.